So I'm actually going to tell a story for Bill. This is Bill. And the first thing Bill would like you to know is that he's not a cat. Bill would be very upset if you think of him as a cat. That's what really upsets him. See, Bill is actually an old man trapped in a cat's body. I first met Bill about 16 years ago on a very cold night when he walked into my now husband, then boyfriend's apartment and announced that he was going to live there. But it turns out that Bill actually didn't like men or being inside. So when I wasn't living there, when I was going home, Bill went on a little cat path of destruction and ripped the apartment apart, knocked everything over, broke lamps. He tore up the carpet underneath the door to the point where you could actually see the plywood underneath. He jumped off the second floor balcony twice. But at that time, we still thought he was a cat, so he did live, which was fortunate. And we thought maybe he was lonely. So when we moved in together and I brought my cats, we thought, oh, it would work out. But he also didn't like other cats. So that was an issue. And he actually tortured my cat Lucy to the point where we had to put her on Prozac. But we tried to put him on Prozac, but it just made him meaner. So Lucy was on Prozac. And when our older male cat died, we actually had to get Lucy another cat, a buffer cat. And that's when I realized that we were stuck with Bill and we had to figure out how to make this work. And I realized at that point that Bill was that older male relative that just was there and you had no idea how to make it work, but you had to live with him somehow. And that's when I started thinking him as the old man trapped in the cat's body. And maybe because I watched a lot of Sabrina the Teenage Witch as a teenager, but it really made a lot more sense to me to think of him this way. And I started cataloging his old man traits. So Bill had arthritis, a lot of arthritis, and he had a limp, he had a bad paw. But when he wanted something, his bad paw became so much more prominent. He would hold it up, look at my bad paw. And he really was very obsessed with the weather because it did make his arthritis hurt more, but it also kept him out of his garden, which he really liked to spend time in. He loved the garden. And so anything like rain or wind or snow, oh, wind was the worst of it. Wind was like a personal attack. And if he could have shaken his fist at the wind, he would have. Besides his garden, he really loved this tacky old blanket that we had. It was a John Deere yellow and green fleece thing that matched absolutely nothing in my house. But we couldn't get rid of it because it belonged to the old man over there, you know, so that was Bill's blanket. Bill only had 3 teeth, so he ate stew. And breakfast could not be late. If breakfast was late, he would wake me up by tapping me on the shoulder with his claws out. That was the part about being a cat he did like. He also really hated strangers, and he didn't like to go to bed late. So if we had parties, around 10 p.m., Bill would announce that the party should be ending by coming down the stairs and just starting to look at everyone, you know, just to announce that you should be wrapping up. But by midnight, if you were actually still there, Bill would go down to the living room and just sit himself down and huff and stare. And you better be getting your coat and getting out the door because Bill did not like staying up late. Bill had a lot of medications as well. He had a twice-a-day medication schedule, and only about 2 people besides me could medicate him. My husband was not one of those people. So when I left town and my husband stayed home, I still had to book a sitter, a nurse, if you will, to come in and take care of Bill. We lost Bill this past December. He lived with us for 15 years, but he had such a great big personality. When I started to think of him as human, he started to treat me as if I was human too. And thinking of him as that little old man in a cat body really made so much more sense to me than having him be just a cat.